Hello, everyone. This is JD Calderon, and this is Indie Comics Explained. And yet again, I brought on another fantastic group of indie comics creators. So, please check out the hit like, hit subscribe, share out the video, let everybody know we're here. And we have on Kickstarter currently Oswald Chronicles currently going on. First 45 physical backers get these puppies. We got a couple of stretch goals. Go check it out. If you like the show, go help support a brother. Thank you so much. And without further ado, here's another brother.
What is up, Streamland? How's everybody doing tonight? I want to take a second before I go into anything at all to ask everyone out there watching to help me wish a very happy 87th birthday to Mr. JD Calderon. Look at you, baby. You don't look a day over 80. As long as you can still pee straight, God bless. You know, I hope you had a good time on your birthday. Who knows how many, you're playing the back nine of life. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited that you're still here with us. You know, congratulations.
Listen, I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, considering I look better than you at 84, I mean, what are you, 110? So, I mean, you know.
I still got my back in the head, daddy. You know what I'm saying? All right.
Listen, I hear you. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Hold on. Let's bring on our Coco.
Oh, the Coco.
Hello, everyone. This is Mark Torres, came from the radio for show the Big Apple Con. I am curious as to how do you not pee straight? What does it go up? Where does it go?
Apparently, he knows. I think he likes to observe people, or he likes to have it done on him. I don't know.
Listen.
That's enough.
It's a medical fact. Once you turn a certain age, you know, it's yeah. Your lightsaber is not straight. You know what I'm saying? It's one. You know. Yeah,
oh, you mean a steady stream? A steady stream. Yeah. I thought you meant like directional, as like it's going all over the place.
I don't know. Hopefully, he doesn't have any sort of VD. You know what I mean?
Wow. But I don't know what weirdness you get up on. Whatever. Let's talk about
last week we were talking about your no cakes. I didn't bring it up. I just figured it's
right.
no policy.
Hold on. Let's class the place up. How you doing, Visalia?
Hello. I'm sorry.
He's asking herself.
First of all, happy belated birthday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
But like, what? I'm not looking forward to that. You know, I got a husband. I'm not trying to get up on that.
All right. So, Visalia, please introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? I'm Visenya. You can call me Ves. Visenya Designs, as you can see. You can find me on Twitter. I have a book called Celestial Post. You can find me there. And you can find me doing Posttober.
Nice. And we also have Mr. Perry. Please introduce yourself, sir.
Hey, I'm Perry, your friendly neighborhood mangaka in the making an appearance on JD's YouTube show. I got a live Kickstarter for Cold Blooded Volume 1 and 2.
Nice. Very nice. And without further ado,
happy birthday to you.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Birthday to you.
Oh, he got the jazz in there.
What's
I
up?
love that. Look at
that. Just for you.
Oh,
That's good stuff. So I'm Sam, the Crazy Man Rare, host of Catch the Craze podcast and the artist, independent creator at Art of Samuel on YouTube.
All right, there you go. Very nice. Very nice. Now,
I like how when you introduced everybody progressively, the equipment got better, because I have these, and then Visenya had the blue ones, then Perry had the mic and the thing, and then Sam got the whole setup.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I got jack shit. I got nothing.
you just can't be straight. That's just it.
Oh my
God. I knew he was projecting, or not. Right? That's how that works with you. You know, you don't project. But anyway,
you'll never know
Mr.
until
Mark,
we stand it side by side.
All right, I'll kick it back to last week. I'll let one of the co-hosts or the co-hosts start. Who wants to start?
Oh, Mark, go ahead, Mark.
All right. I've been out of practice. It's been a while. It's been a lot of holidays I've missed because I'm only on the holiday shows. So this is something that occurred to me the other day. If you're a film producer, or you make a movie, or you make a comic book, you have a story to tell. You tell the story, and then what? What do you do after your story is told?
Okay, that's interesting. We'll start with Sam.
All right, so I need more context. What do you mean told? That means it's produced, it's out there in the public's eye? Is that what you're saying?
You're done, you're finished, your story is out there, it's published, it made the money. What do you do?
If you're not on your promotional circuit, you're writing the next follow-up. So even, let's say you release it, while it's released, you're doing a promotion tour, but you're working on whatever your next follow-up is going to be, so that by the time that campaign ends, you're not missing a beat and you're ready to hit the road with your next thing.
So does that mean you have to be in constant production? Because sometimes a lot of creators do their entire life to make their one movie, their one project, their one comic book. And when that's done, you're like, you have to have more in the tank?
Well, you're going. So for me, I'm a creative, right? So I'm constantly in the think tank. So there's no stopping for me. You know what I mean? It's just constant grinding and what's next, and how can I take whatever was successful and make it even better, right? So there are those out there who just want that cash grab and they're out, right? But I'm in it because I love what I do, and I'm trying to get the product into as many hands as possible and as many homes as possible. That means that open door means I can't let it close. I have to stay relevant. So I have to make sure that I'm constantly working and I'm constantly ahead of the curve.
Cool. Perry, you got any thoughts on that?
So you said, what do you do after you make the book?
Yeah, after the story is told, what do you do?
Then you profit. Or like the thing is, make book, question marks, profit. But when you make a book like a volume 1 or issue 1, I mean, you could theoretically just sell that book for the rest of your life, because there's always going to be people that have never heard of it. So if like the story's told and you don't have any other stories to tell, even if you do have stories to tell, you can still keep pushing the same body of work that you've had, and make even more money from it, and just keep doing what you want. But from what I understand, like most creators, it's not like a career, but like if it was, you could always change careers. If you like told the one story you had, you could just move on to something else. Or if you're a hobbyist, then maybe it wouldn't matter so much. You're already doing what you want anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Visenia?
Being in this game for a while, I've noticed that my readers, like, sure, they're there for my story, but I noticed that they're there for me. So to always have something out is something that is also good for them. So like, yeah, I have my one story I'm telling, but in between I'm making other stories and other things just to keep them more engaged, so that, while they're waiting for one, they got something, so it's just like a pattern. And I don't think I'm gonna ever retire, because I love doing what I do. But yeah, it's mostly just the fact that your readers, like, they're there for your story, but I know for a fact that they're there for you, because you're the one that sells yourself before your story sells. So to continue and to like make more stories, or even branch off from your original story, they love that type of stuff. They love lore dump. So yeah, I will continue making stuff.
Cool. Jay?
You reboot, baby. Come on, you started again from the beginning. I mean,
you gotta get out of here.
That's what they do out there in Hollywood. I'm surprised they haven't rebooted Rocket Man, Dark Man, Meteor Man. I'm waiting for the reboots and all of that stuff. No, but I mean, I'm joking, but yeah, reboot is always an option for people. I mean, as long as there's enough time in between when you finished it and when you feel like starting it up again. Think of it like a video game, right? How many times when you play the same level do you get better? You have more experience, and you can do this and this and that, right? Well, every time you go back to the work again, it's like, all right, what did I miss? What can I improve upon? What can I expand upon? So if you ever think about doing a reboot, there is some positives inside of that. But for my case, like Sam said, the well is not empty yet, man. I've got a lot of stuff in the tank I want to tell. I just don't have enough money to put it all out there yet. I mean, I got 3 different things just in the can waiting to find the right artist to even collaborate with on putting that stuff together on top of everything else that I got already out in the world. So there's that. But yeah, reboot is not a bad idea if there's enough time. It's either that or curl up in a ball and die.
Nice. Nice.
Yep. On that last part, I have to agree with Mr. Rosario. I mean, listen, yeah, I'm never done. So it's like, even with the Oswald Chronicles, I still got a long ways to go, and I have Tall Tales, I have a long ways to go, and then there's 5 or 6 other projects that I have sitting on the side waiting. Similar to Jay with finding the right artists, having the correct amount of revenue to bring it to life. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, there is no slowdown. They're just speeding up. Even in my dotage. Thank you. So, Mr. Mark, what do you think of your own question?
It's a weird thing because the reason that it came up is that I was thinking about this guy. He's a big YouTube sensation, as they call the Angry Video Game Nerd. And originally he was a film student. He wanted to make tons of movies and everything, and he made this one character, and it stuck. And that's all he became. I'm thinking, wow, if you have all these ideas and then you only have the one thing, like, do you keep on doing that one thing, or do you try something else, or you just quit or roll in a ball and die? So I think it varies on what do you have aside, what do you have set aside that's next on your list.
Yeah, well, I think in his case, I mean, I don't know how much money he has, but maybe there'll come a point where he has enough money where he can set that other stuff aside and do something new. But sometimes it's just a case of having enough cash to be able to do that. Because if he's making 40, 50K a year, he's making what anyone's making. But if he's making $5 million a year, a few years he'll be able to step aside and just move on. So it just depends. I don't know. All right. I got a question for you guys.
Well, I thought we were going down the co-host list to the host.
You got a question? No, that's fine. Hold on. Jake says counter argument on Mark's point from AVGN as he runs several side shows under the Cinema Massacre. Oh, Cinema Massacre.
Holy shit.
Cinema Massacre.
At age 7, you got to check those eyes, baby.
Massacre. There's a fan out there.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
There you go.
All right. My turn.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Go. All right, as I change my glasses.
Very good.
He needs to pick a lens. He needs to pick a lens.
Where did JD go? You're a completely different person.
Oh yeah,
He's so much younger now. The wife is gonna have a good time now with young Calderon.
That's his bedroom glasses.
Yes. These are my bedroom glasses. These are my reading ones.
Those are your reading ones?
Yeah,
you needed them before you read Cinema Massacre.
That's why I put them on. I was like,
he says cinnamon donuts.
All right. To bring this down a little bit, how do you pull yourself up? Right? How do you get back to working on your project, whatever it is, for the day, for the week, the month, the title, right? Your ambitions. How do you keep working on it after you have had either a bad convention, a bad overall day, or if you had one of those down days where you just felt like your product or your work isn't quite up to snuff? How do you find the light to work back on your project again?
That's a good one. Perry, you're first.
All right. Well, I feel like mostly like I just can't quit. So if that happens, I just have to cut my losses and move on because, I don't see it as an option. And I think like the only way you truly fail is when you like call it quits, when you throw in the towel. That's the only way.
I get that. But what do you do, Perry, to say, how do you pull your head off of the pillow in the morning, right? To say, man, I gotta push through this wall and work on this today. I don't fucking care what happened yesterday, right? I don't care how much money I lost on this convention or what happened. Maybe I got egg in my face from a certain event. How do you wake up the next day and say, God damn it, I got to do this? What makes you do that?
I bank on the future. I have to believe that at some point in time in the future that it's all going to pay off and be worth it.
Okay. Your end game keeps you going.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
Nita says you resemble this remark, Jay.
Angrily masturbate to get back to it.
Wow.
I guess I'm the old one. It took me a second.
Well,
on what?
some
On
advice.
my question, idiot. That's right. Very nice. Okay. Who's up?
Vanessa,
Yes.
Visenia, I'm sorry. What do you think? What are you thinking?
Well, I am a full-time streamer, so I don't have a choice. Like, my community keeps me going. So, like, if I have a bad convention and I'm streaming, and I tell them, look, I have a bad convention, they don't let it be bad. So I have a grid, strong community base to always lift me up. And that's why I thank them continuously and try to do as much as I can for them. Because it's just that I feel like when you have other people cheering for you also, it helps with the drive, instead of just sitting there and doing it by yourself. And then you're sitting there like, damn, I'm doing all these things by myself for what, and self-loathing. It just takes you out that mind, that perspective.
Yeah, let me go a little deeper, right? You're the only female here on our panel, on our dais, right? So you got a great position to speak for a larger part of our community. What happens when it's those angry fanboys, those trolls who get on you when you're streaming throughout the course of the day?
Oh, I block them.
Okay.
Listen, I'm too old and too tired. No, bye. No.
He doesn't give any Fs. I like that.
Right.
All right. Very good. Okay. But do you have anything for anyone who may be sitting in your seat? Any words of encouragement of how to deal with something like that?
Yeah, it's once it starts, you cut it right at the nip. You don't let it continue because it's going to keep going. It's going to keep festering. And tell you the truth, in this world, you're not supposed to be. Everybody's not going to be your friend. So you're not a piece of cake for people to like. You do what you got to do, and then if you make friends along the way, you go ahead, you make your friends. But other than that, you nip it at the butt.
That is a straight New York answer right there, ladies and gentlemen. She got the hands in there. You know what I mean? Woo!
Listen, we don't play. You know what I'm saying? Get out the way.
For those of you who do not
when she
know,
starts doing this, then it's over.
For those of you not from New York, when you see somebody do that on the block, stay away. Stay the fuck away. Do not engage. Do not make eye contact because you will become collateral damage. So way to be, Vance. I love that. I love that. All right, Sam, how do you break through that wall, man? How do you grab that wall? Keep going.
I have a lot of ways because look, failure or bumps in the road are part of the game. There's always going to be there. Once you think you're comfortable, that's when it comes up, right? And so for me, if I'm having a bad event at a Comic-Con, then I will talk to my peers. I'll walk around. I'll see what's happening on the floor. I'll go find that artist that I had on my list that I said, you know what, I need to get something from that artist or whatever it is. So that's my way of just like shaking that off and then getting back into the game. You got to fail fast and then get back in the race. If I'm at home and I'm stuck and and I feel like whatever it is that's holding me down, I'll open up one of my art of books. Or I'll go online and I'll watch one of the artists that I follow, that I admire, and I'll watch one of their YouTube channels. I'll join a chat on a stream, one of the creators that I follow, just so I can just reset, and then I'll get back into the game. So there's always a way for me. Or if I'm at home, I'll play with the dogs. I'll go to the yard and say, you know what, screw this, let me go outside. It only takes me about 20 minutes, and then I'm back up and I'm ready to get back in there again. So you just got to find what works for you, but know that you're always going to get disappointed. No matter what, it's part of the game. It's part of the process. That's what makes you stronger. You're either going to have a thick skin or you're going to get stepped over. That's it.
Okay. Mark, how do you rock and roll?
I feel like I'm an expert on this category. Been doing this for many years, many setbacks, as you know. Last time I was talking about my book, trying to make it happen for 30 years. Hasn't happened yet. So the radio show is plenty of ups and downs as well. And what I do, I take a step back. I take a step back and look at everything I've accomplished over the years. One of the biggest things that people always tell me, my friends are like, look at what you've done with no money. If you had money, how much further would you be? I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then it gives me the motivation to keep on going for another couple of more years.
Nice. All right. Mr. Calderon, birthday boy, what do you do?
It's discipline. No matter what happens, you get back to work. Period. You know what I mean? I mean, you take a day off, take a couple of days off. You maybe take a week off, right? But in the end, it's discipline. You get back to work. Period. Like I know for myself, my life is invested in two things: my wife and my work, right? And neither one of those things can be chopped off. One of those things get chopped off, I'm gone. I'm done, right? So it's discipline, right? With both things, right? You know, and that's how I work it. Just discipline. Just got to keep working at it. I've always thought of writing a story, right? So you write a story, you constantly, and sometimes you'll be writing and you'll have a setback. You're like, shit, is this going in the right direction, right? So, you know, you might have to go back, cut it out, come back, right? But for me, it's always like chopping down a tree. Doesn't matter how big the tree is, you know? You just keep working at it, and you keep working at it, and you keep working at it till the sucker falls down. That's it. You know, I mean, it's just discipline. You just got to keep working at it, you know? And I mean, it's worked for me for years. I got a pretty decent body of work to prove it, you know? So, you know, you just got to just keep working at it. So what do you do, sir? How much chocolate do you consume?
Oh, a ton. Let me tell you, bro, I go through, when it hits me, I go through a jar of Nesquik a week. You know what I'm saying?
I thought you were going to say an hour.
I could do that too. But, you know, look, I'm not going to sit here, you know, on some high and mighty throne. I have dark days, you know. There's days where it's just like, fuck, man. But I'm lucky. I got a wife who knows me very well and knows when to push and when to pull, right? She knows when to get my head out of the game and when to saying, you know, stop feeling sorry for yourself. And it's awesome that I have somebody in my life that I, you know, if there's one thing I did right, it's marry her, right? And the other thing is talking to people in the community, right? And having them help me see, like you said, what I've done, what my accomplishments are, reminding me of what my goals are. And you know, sometimes they're out there to help me keep the train on its track. So this is, you know, this is not me saying I have an answer. This is me looking for answers because there are people out there who have darker days than we do, right? And when they dive down that rabbit hole, they dive really deep. And you know, we don't want to lose anybody because they're stuck in the bad side of that creative mindset.
Yeah. True.
So.
Jake says comics making is a true blue collar job. Clock in and slack away with attitude. There you go.
Yeah.
You know, any kind of Nita says I get frustrated, have a meltdown, cry to Daphne, and pull my shit back together and come back stronger.
There you go.
North Free, I love that symbol. Good evening to everyone.
Hello, North.
Way to go.
Hey, what's up, North? There you go. All right. So here's the what I've been avoiding for several weeks, and I'm starting to do it now, is ask the question of the show. What's holding you back in indie comics, right? And what are you doing to combat that, right? So what are your, you know, what's holding you back And let's start with Visenia. It's your turn.
Ooh, that's a really hard question.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm starting to overcome the whole networking factor because I was doing everything online, strictly online, not doing too much. And then now that I'm branching out and I'm actually going to other conventions, talking with my peers, trying to get into other conventions and talk to like the higher ups that host those type of conventions. I've noticed that it's been helping a lot with trying to get me out there, because like I have the work, I have the quality, I have the discipline, but I didn't have like the network to just be like, look, I'm trying to do this and market myself out there for more eyes to see, because I was just strictly online. So yeah, that's something that I've been combating for a while. And another thing is I do everything myself, so I'm trying to not be that type of person, but it's my baby, so I can't like just be like, here you go. It's hard. Maybe one day I'll get over that, but right now I'm too stubborn. So we'll see where we go from here. Little steps at a time.
Gotcha. All right, cool. Hold on. Let me pull this up real quick. Larry says, nothing is holding me back. This is a very good attitude to have. But, the truth is that we all have something holding us back, But, Larry, we'll talk later. Jake says, not wanting to take pay. I don't believe people want my services and pay for it. Okay. Willie Joyce, a ghost named Bisbee. Damn you, Bisbee. Okay. I don't know what the fuck Bisbee. Sam, what's holding you back, sir?
See, that's a very broad question.
Right.
I think if I'm going to narrow the scope of that question, I think it would be timing. I think what's slowing me down, not holding me back. I think what's slowing me down is that my strategy is very methodical and it's long term. So for me, like, I'm not going to distribution route until the entire arc is done, which is the 12 issues, which is going to be 3 graphic novels, right? So that'll be sometime in the middle of next year. Well, that's when I'll go seek distribution. So everything for me is about timing. So it's really just slowing me down, not getting in my way or stopping me from doing what I need to do. And then circumstance, right? So sometimes you have a timeline that it has to be a moving timeline, because this world is unpredictable. No one expected the lockdown. No one expected all this stuff that's happening. So you never know what's going to come from left field. And so that's why it's a moving timeline. I don't commit. I don't have like a hard timeline. What I do have a hard timeline is me and my personal goal of completing a book within a specific 6-week period. So I give myself 6 weeks per book to do, and that's pencil, inks, and color, right? So for me, it's 6 weeks. That's it for every issue. And I hold myself accountable to that. Like, for instance, today is a great example. Today I was doing a lot of video editing because I have Catch the Craze and I also have the Art of Samuel channel. So I'm creating content and editing content all day, but I still have to do 2 pages, right? So I was like, it's gonna be an all night after this show. It's gonna be an all nighter, right? So because I'm holding myself accountable to it. So it's not what's in my way. It's really just circumstance and timing. I have a plan. It's gonna take some time to achieve that plan, and I'm good with it.
All right. Discipline. What I mentioned earlier. Very good. Perry, what are your thoughts?
All right. Run the question by me again.
So what do you think in indie comics is holding you back? Like
that's right.
Yeah.
Title of stream. How can I forget that? Yeah. I'd say probably like time, because I was like putting out chapters pretty frequently, and then all of a sudden got real slowed down because I took time to like learn how to letter, because my lettering was really terrible. I tried to make my own font. That just contribute to making it look worse. And so, and then when I learned how to letter, and I went back and relettered it, and that took a lot of time, and it was a lot of time spent not making new chapters, and it felt like so much time has passed since I made like actual new comics. I was like, oh, it feels like too much time has passed, because frequency matters, how often you put stuff out.
All right, cool. Got you. Hold on, let me put up a couple of these. North says some people love Avatar, some hate it. Now he says, but I'm not kidding. 5-figure campaigns published in shops. It says I did the dream already. Larry, all I'm saying is dream bigger. Dream bigger.
Get
Damn
on
it.
Netflix.
Yes, go to Netflix. There you go. Netflix.
Yeah,
Be anything.
Netflix.
Be like, make a toy, something, anything. But yes, but Larry's done great though. I mean, Larry, I know you mean what you say. But the way I look at it is like there's always a further step. There's always something else that could be achieved that maybe you want. If not, all right, cool. I mean, if you made it, you made it. Good for you. Evening Willie. Oh, there we go. Hail Sam Burr.
What? What?
Don't hate.
Bro.
Oh, hey,
What's up, Will?
what are you, Cobra Commander? What the hell is that?
Let's go.
What kind of shit is that?
All right. So,
all
so
right.
Mark, what are your thoughts on it? What's holding you back?
I'm friends with Sam's circumstances, and let's see, I would say bad luck and lack of money. Those would be my three arch enemies in this situation. Because you got to pay people. That's important. Unless you want to scam people, but that's not the way to go. You got to pay people, and as just a writer, that makes it more difficult because you got to find all the other steps to pay people, which a lot of people don't realize. It costs a lot of money because it's a profession. And one thing I always like to think about is you look at painters. They paint one painting a year or whatever, and they get $1 bazillion in theory. A comic book creator does 22 pages a month, and they're getting paid pittance. Shouldn't they also be regarded in a higher standard to get more money for what their work? I would think so, yes. And therefore, they should be paid what they're worth. And therefore, where does that money come from? And that's where the bad luck comes in, and that's where the circumstances come in. But what to do with that is, once again, you take a step back, you see what you can do, you see what avenues you can find, ways to get it done, and you slowly move forward as best you can without stopping, because as everybody else said on the panel, you can't quit, you got to keep on going.
Yep. All right, cool. Mr. J.
Rent is getting in the way. Rent. If I didn't have to pay so much in rent in New York City, we could get a lot more done. No, what's getting in my way of making what's holding me back in indie comics? Myself. Myself. Okay. You take out all the outside factors. Yes, time, money, what can I manage? Right? What am I not doing enough of? Rather than being someone who leans to his creator side and only goes after those euphoric moments that come from accomplishing something, right? Chasing that. I need to become someone who's more regimented, more structured, and taking care of the back of the house stuff, right? The business stuff, right? So what's holding me back from producing more content is me. I am my own worst enemy. I can't blame anybody else or anything else but me.
So that raises the question: how do you beat yourself if you know every move you're gonna make?
Well, I would like to refer back to one of Nita's early comments about me, angrily masturbating.
That is crazy.
I know.
It Fritz the cat.
I know it sounds stupid, basic, and cliche, and that is to constantly fill my to-do list with objectives that I need to accomplish. And while I am doing that, right, it's yesterday's me forcing tomorrow's me to make sure things get done, so the next day's me has less things on its plate. But then the next day's me becomes tomorrow's me, and today's me becomes yesterday's me. So it's I know I'm getting all paradoxical over here, but you got to prep yourself. You got to become regimented, and you've got to throw I think, in my opinion, enough things on your plate to keep yourself busy, keep yourself occupied, and making sure you're keeping that train moving forward.
Yeah.
Right? Sam is a Cobra Commander, but he's always on duty.
Get it?
Bam.
Nice. Hold on.
I'm laughing because it took me a second. They meant duty, not duty, caca duty.
Terrible.
He took the scenic route. He took the scenic route to get there, but you got there. Good man.
I tell you, I'm not the smartest one here. I got no problem saying that.
All right, hold on, guys. I got another panelist coming on in. This is Frank. How you doing, Frank?
Hey
Frank.
guys. Hey JD, thanks for having me on. Jay,
Hello, Circle Frank. Oh, there he is.
Good to see you guys.
Yep. Frank, please introduce yourself.
So Frank Forte, this is me. I'm the publisher at Asylum Press. So we're a small kind of horror comic company. Fearless Dawn is one of our books. We've done, a bunch of Steve Mannion's titles over the years. We did a bunch of books, Satan's Powder Room. I mean, we've been around since '99. And I was, doing the black and white horror stuff in the 90s with Cry for Dawn. I worked for Boneyard Press. I never really broke into the majors, So I had trouble making money in comics. So moved out to LA, started getting jobs as a storyboard artist. So I worked on a bunch of little shows at Cartoon Network, then finally worked on a bit bigger shows like Bob's Burgers, worked on some Cartoon Network shows, DreamWorks. I worked on Solar Opposites, and then moved over to working on Insidious, live action movies. I just worked on She-Hulk. So I do a lot of storyboarding really because it's kind of like, storytelling in a way, right? So that's really kind of my day job, but I've always liked comics. So I'm trying to get back into doing what I love. So it's kind of like Asylum Press is like an indie outfit. We run Kickstarters, we publish a Diamond, we do shows, we do Comic-Con, we try to sell online, But again, even though we're carried by Diamond and stuff, I still consider us indie, So yeah, comics and storyboards, I guess. That's what I do.
Nice. Okay.
Hey Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Asylum the one that did that movie with the prison and Bruce Willis and the Power Ranger recently that came out? Was that you guys?
Yeah, that's Asylum, the movie company. We're not really affiliated with them, but yeah, those guys are kind of they're a movie studio. Asylum Press is the comic company, but yeah, separate companies.
Gotcha.
All right. Well. All right. All right, we're gonna have all kinds of crazy questions coming. But Frank, we were going over this thing, right, where the question was that I asked the entire panel. We just go around the room. What do you feel is holding you back in indie comics? What do you think is the one driving force that's really kind of just, if there's anything holding you back, what do you think? What do you think it is?
Holding us back from making profit? I mean, I guess I would say.
Right.
You need wider distribution. I think you need stores to order more books, which I get is hard because they can't return them. It's finding that fan base. I think you are kind of limited because I look at numbers and I see what indie publishers do, like Zenoscope, Lady Death, Merck, and some of those other guys. When they were publishing the numbers, you'd be doing good if you were doing anywhere from 3,000 to 15,000, right? Mm-hmm. of a regular title. Those are just the numbers. That's the fan base that's out there for those type of books. So I don't know how to get that up. I really don't. In the 90s, Faust would sell 40,000. Cry for Dawn would sell 30 to 40,000. These are black and white indie mature readers horror books. It was a bigger audience. There was more people out there. And now if you do 3,000, Diamond tells you you're doing great. You're selling 3,000, but those aren't really numbers that you can do to make money. And I do shows, I do Comic-Con, I do WonderCon, I try to sell, I do social media, I run ads in magazines. I mean, I don't know how to reel those people in and be read my book. There's definitely I don't know if I could say that, a ton of indie books out there. If you look at Indiegogo and Kickstarter, I've never seen more indie comics in my life. I can't believe how many there are.
Mhm.
So I don't know if is there enough readers to read all these books? I don't know. I don't know how to get to those freaking readers or create more of them or say stop, playing video games and read comics. I don't know. I think that's the problem is being delusional maybe and thinking there's 100,000 indie comic readers out there. But then you got Webtoon. There's millions of readers on Webtoon.
Millions
Why aren't
a-
those
a
millions of
million a
Webtoon
year.
readers reading these indie comics? It's like I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know.
But Frank, that's a worldwide number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're trying to work either local markets if we're lucky enough to do national, right? And one of the things that I always go back and forth with Calderon is, after the distributor wars, right? One of the biggest casualties of distributor wars were the spinner racks. The spinner racks being in pharmacies, the spinner racks being in the bodegas. Even the checkout counter stuff. We don't even get Archie Digest or even Bone Digest, at the checkout counters in supermarkets anymore. So having that lack of accessibility is hurting the market on a whole. And trying to get in there, trying to reestablish those channels, it's not something that we can tackle on our own. And unfortunately, it's going to affect all of us. And those different markets is, I feel, what helps us get over that hump of the video game or the ADD person. Comic books, it's an impulse buy, right? Unless you are regimented into buying the Spider-Man or, the bigger stuff on a regular basis. And people like to talk about, the loss leader of single issue stuff. It's not a loss leader. It's Pavlovian, right? They've got people coming into the shops on a regular basis expecting those books. We don't have that. So how do we go about that? How do we combat that? I'm still trying to figure that out too, bro.
Yeah, I think the guy that's doing comics mainstream up in the Pacific Northwest, like he's putting spinner racks in indie bookstores, comic shops, and weed shops. And I'm like, that's cool. That's interesting. That's thinking out of the box. Like, where are these new customers where can you put an indie book? You can't necessarily put an indie book in a Rite Aid because it's got adult content. But you put it in a pot shop, maybe that's where you'll find readers. So I think that's a really cool way. That's what I like about these little mini distributors. I was telling JD when I was on the Comics Launch podcast, Comics Mainstream, Comics Distro, and Powerhouse are these little regional distributors that take indie books, that distribute to stores, and do shows. So I like the idea that these indie distributors are also show dealers, because not only can my books be at a table at some show in Tampa, but they could also be, he's like in his car pitching to these, retailers. So even though those guys are small, I think that's a start, right? Like, I think that's cool that those guys are out there and someone's taking on the responsibility of being a distributor. Now you do have Lunar. Lunar will take a lot of indies now. They're opening it up. And you have Universal Distribution in Canada, they're also a distributor that was in Canada that's opening up to the United States. I always thought more distribution was better. I don't know, Jay, were you distributing comics in the 90s when there was Capital City, Diamond, Comics Hawaii?
I wasn't.
You always sold more when there was more distributors. You just sold more.
I started self-publishing in 92. And
right.
Yeah, we had 13, 14 different distributors.
Yeah, totally. I remember that. Heroes World. There were so many distributors.
Sticks International.
You didn't even want to deal with all of them. You're like, I'm going to pick like the top 10 in these little guys. Now I'd kill for 14. It was
cool. You could go out, be a regular indie, and go through all of them, sell 3,000 to 4,000 books. If you pushed and advertised, you could probably sell 10 or 15,000
easily.
And be no one. They don't even brand you.
Don't even know who you were. Never did comics before. They wouldn't even have to see the cover sometimes or the interiors. It was just they wanted product. So how do we create that again? Is that what we're trying to get back to? Right. I think Kickstarter. Hey, that's Larry. What's up? Yes, it's great to do that. I think those little indie guys. I think crowdfunding is one way. And I think indie people, I found out that doing update trades with Kickstarters as they're running is the best way to increase pledges. Like, posting in Facebook groups. I've done it so much, it's almost worthless.
Mhm.
Twitter, I post, I add people, I hashtag. I don't see much of a response. Advertising on Facebook, I don't know. It's like update trades and the newsletter, like your previous backers. I don't know. Or listening to like what Brian Polito said, where he's like, if I did a store signing and there was one person there or 30, I'd still be pitching it with the same amount of enthusiasm as, to one person as I did 30. And, in the 90s, we didn't have social media. You guys know it was store appearances and conventions. That's what you did. And you just did them. You'd set up like a tour, with a new album. You'd go to your local shops on Wednesdays and Saturdays, and then you'd hit as many big local conventions as you could. That's how Cry for Dawn built it up. I'm like, how did you guys get so big? They're like, we did every convention, every store. We go up and down the East Coast. And it's a matter of starting to do that, grinding it out. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Well, hold on. I think North had an interesting question. He says, question of Pat, I recently heard with Marvel and DC gone, Diamond, Jeppy himself said they were going full indie. Anyone heard such rumors? I haven't heard it. I haven't heard that.
I didn't hear it, and I forget the name of the guy who runs the sales for Diamond. When I saw him at New York Comic Con, the dude from Texas, I forgot who his name is, and he did not talk like he was leaning towards indie. They talk about how Jeppy. I know he came out a few months ago, and he said when they lost Dark Horse, that Dark Horse accounted for maybe 1% or less than 1%, right, of their entire portfolio.
Really?
So, wow. Yeah.
He said 1%. I just think he's just a little salty at him.
Okay, listen,
I'll take that. But that catalog is pretty big. I mean, they sell a lot of stuff, and they sell a lot of manga, and they sell a lot of toys. And don't forget, they also own, isn't it Alliance Distributors who distributes all those games? That's part of Diamond, I think, too, right? So
now they're starting their grading service. They're opening up different streams of revenue over there.
But I have seen like the guys that do, was it Cheerleaders from Outer Space? What's that book? It's the Kickstarter book. Flesh Eating Cheerleaders. I saw that in Diamond, and I think that's the only book that those guys have. So I think I am seeing some Kickstarter publishers in offering Diamond. So I think they are actually taking you on. Like if you have a good stable of titles and can put out regular titles, everyone should approach Diamond at least and say, hey, I've got some stuff. Because I think that this will open the door for more indies. And look, there was a massive indie boom in the 90s. If you guys were there, I was in it. Like Faust, Cry for Dawn, the Razor, Lady Death was in indie. Like all those books sold really well. Like people love that stuff. Look, Niobe for one, Kickstarter, right? Indiegogo, and then they went through, Antarctic. But Antarctic maybe is a publisher that indie people can approach if you don't want to go full on publisher, right? So, it's just a way to get into the catalog and into the shops, because I don't know how many of you guys are in shops and stuff, but I think getting into shops is definitely, I don't know. I just think it's the way to go. Like, I just think fulfilling a Kickstarter to 200, 300 backers and only printing 300 books, it's not really a way to build sustainable following of 5, 6, 7, 10,000 people.
Finally, God damn it! Finally, holy shit! I feel like I'm on an island by myself. I talk about that every time on this fucking show, dude. Jay
and I go back and forth on this all the time because I've been through Diamond. And, eventually, things just didn't pan out. So we ended up leaving. And, I found Kickstarter, been doing that. But I've explained this before, I'm going through a process. When I'm done with my business plan, the final thing I'm going to be doing is going through Diamond.
Yeah, right.
But I have to reach that point.
When you say didn't pan out, what do you mean? You didn't get enough orders to make money?
We weren't getting enough orders at that point. We were This was around 2006, 2007, I think. And
what kind of orders?
Oh, we were down to like 500,
Right.
maybe. You know, and it just wasn't enough. And it was just like, you know, they told me, they were like, look, we got to cut you off. And I was like, what can I do?
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then Daphne and I just continued. What was crazy is we ended up printing 1,000 copies of a trade paperback. It was the first one we ever did. And we probably sold those within 6-7 months of us doing it. But that was all at shows. You know, and a few retailers that we had like straight connections with that we would just sell directly to them.
Today's indie model should not be based on how many books you can sell right out the gate and move on to the next one, right? If you're doing offset printing, you got to look at selling it throughout the course of the year at different conventions, using it to help boost sales to the next Kickstarter that you got, right? And my favorite, using them, right, as trade-offs to get people to sign up for your newsletter, right? That brings your cost of acquisition for each customer down to almost $1 per unit, right? You're spending more money in ads on whatever, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, on-air placements with anybody's podcast, right? You're going to be spending more than that. When you're printing an offset, you can utilize those excess copies for just that a reason, and you're saving yourself money in the long run.
Yeah, totally. I'm trying to get as many indie guys as I can away from this digital POD stuff where you're paying $4 or $5 for a book and do an offset run. I mean, the minimum is $2,000, but for the same amount of money you're spending on this POD run, just maybe spend a little more, kick some money in, do an offset run.
That's it, dude. If, you know, 400 units, right, on POD, you're probably spending $1,200 with shipping, right? You could be spending $2,300 to get 2,000 units. You don't have to reorder again, right?
Throw another $600 in. Use a credit card. Sell some weed. I don't know, whatever you need to do that money.
It's
not
like
that much.
People need to understand, right? POD versus offset printing is you're trading short-term sales for long-term growth. All right. If you are going to survive doing this, if it's going to become more than a hobby for you, you need to think that way.
Right. I mean, in the 90s, you didn't have POD. You always did a 2,000 run or 3,000, and then you'd have the boxes in your garage. You'd have them in storage, but you'd get rid of them. Like you'd go to a show and you'd sell at shows, and then you'd hit up all the dealers at the end of the show, and you'd be like, "You want a wholesale? You want a wholesale?" They'd be like, "Yeah, man, how many?" And you're dealing wholesale at the end of the show. $2. Oh, it's here. Take them. And you just move the books, and now you got 10 dealers. Now that they're going to go to other shows and other shops and sell them, and then there's a box, and then you've got. Okay, so I've got another 1,000 books, but that makes you go out to another show and start selling them. But you do, like I talked to some people that do, I did POD, you know, what was your order? Well, I got 200 orders from Kickstarter. I printed 225 and now I'm done. I'm like, you gotta like.
Yeah, I'm crying here. I'm so happy, Frank. You made me so happy. I'm so happy you're on this fucking show because I feel like I'm the only one that talks about this over here, and you need to understand.
Well, I think people aren't used to the offset run because they're just used to the POD model, and maybe they don't have room for storage, or maybe they're just not used to it. But
that's understandable.
Go to Fry's, Brenner, Transcontinental in Canada. Just start getting offset print quotes, but keep it simple. Like I don't like the idea of hardcovers, or you got to do that in China. Keep it like 32 page floppy. Keep it simple and don't have all these extra where, if we get this many things, we're going to go to a hardcover, we're going to bump it up. I never do that stuff. I just think it's too complicated. The stretch goal should be like a sticker. Keep it simple. Keep it small. Stickers, bookmarks. Like, I don't know. I think it's just too crazy to do that. But yeah, if people could just start getting offset print quotes and have the thing in place where you can send these extra books to these distributors, you can start having other people work for you,
Let me ask you a question, Frank. Have you ever tried, because here's something, Rosario and I were involved in a situation where I got like 5 or 6 publishers together. We gang printed a bunch of books and we got better pricing from the printer. Is that ever something you tried?
I mean, was that an offset print or a POD?
Yeah. No. This was offset. Yeah, because it's the only way you can get gang printing done.
Right. So how did that work? Did you guys all do at least 2,000, but it was just cheaper because you did it together?
Yeah, we did 3,000 of each, 32-page books, all uniform as far as like page counts and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
it came out to about 53 cents per unit.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
Who was the printer?
Well, I went through a broker, but the broker he hooked us up with a company called Kingery out in Illinois.
What is it?
Illinois.
In Illinois.
Kiwi, you said?
Kingery.
Kingery.
Kingery. I've never heard of them. Do they print a lot of comics?
It was their first time doing comic books.
Yeah.
So it wasn't bad. It was a self cover, 70 pound.
No, it was 80 on the cover, 70 on the interior.
Oh, okay.
The cover was a little bit heavier.
That's cool. And they came out good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it came out gorgeous.
Pretty cheap. Yeah, 53 cents. I've never done that. I think it's a little too hard to coordinate for me, but if it works, that's something that works. I say do it, you know. 'Cause, yeah, that's pretty cheap for a comic.
Yeah. It was hurting cats, but I managed to make it happen.
I resemble that remark, sir.
You were one of the cats I had to
listen. I knew the deal was fugazi for a while. One of the reasons I was very hesitant.
Well, that part we don't have to worry about anymore.
I mean, I think like running ads for each other in different books, like ad trades or trading social posts and trading newsletter posts, is a way to do it. I don't know if print ads, work as well. I think if you're going to do any kind of print ad for comics or horror, like doing it in Rich Sala's The Creeps, Shudder, those horror mags, like those get to dedicated 28 to 30,000 people. Like that could work. As in Fangoria or those other mags, I don't think those fans read comics as much as they're into movies. But
is it the new company that got Fangoria on its way out? Are they doing well since they picked up the rights?
Yeah, they've been doing it for a while. I think they stopped doing newsstand and they realized that wasn't going to work. So now they're back on newsstand. Okay. They're on Diamond and they're I don't know if their print run was what Fangoria was in its heyday, but I think they're doing it. I mean, heavy metal doesn't sell as much as it did in its heyday, but they're still around. I think they're doing just enough to get by and make a profit. But heavy metal used to sell around, or at least to print around 1 million around when the movie came out. And when I was there, editing, we'd do print runs of anywhere from 22 to 28,000. That's what it was, from issues 270 to 300 or something like that. It's still a decent run, but it's not huge,
Cool. Yeah, let me pull up this. Jake says POD is nice for beginner publishers, but not for long-term publishing. If the numbers are positive, there may be an incentive to print, offset, and expand. Question is it a hobby or pro? So I mean,
what are we calling print on demand? Like, what's the difference? Yeah, I know POD, but like, what is Comics Wellsprings? Are they like print on demand?
That would be print on demand. Yeah.
Anything that's digital, where you could do you could do 1 to 500 copies. That's a digital print. It's not an offset.
So offset, you'd get a quote. Is that the company?
Yeah, there's a bunch of places that we can tell you about. You could go onto the Diamond website itself, and they list 5 different printers there.
But what's the difference really? Do you have to order more copies through offset?
Yeah. The minimum is about, I would say, 2,000, right? They'll even tell you if you just say I want 1,000, they'll be like, well, for $200 more, you could get another 1,000. Why are you printing 1,000 when you could have 2,000 for $200 more? You're like, oh yeah, right. I might as well take 2,000.
Okay, because I always thought print on demand was like if you use like Amazon's POD service and like someone's ordered the book and they print it there to sell.
That's also print on demand. Yeah,
I thought that was just POD.
Right, and even drive-through comics, they do the POD stuff, right? But you're receiving a small percentage off of that, right? You're receiving, if you're lucky, 20% off of the price of the book. And again, this is not knocking Comic Wellspring. This is not knocking Kablam. This is not knocking. I don't know. Is Comics Press still up and running? I know they were out of Jersey. They were a POD place. This is not knocking them, and it's not knocking anybody who uses POD at all, right? I understand, and like I think who was it? Jake said, right? If you're a beginner, yeah, this is how you get your feet wet. But if you want to step up your game, if you think this is going to be a long-term thing for you. And like I said a minute ago, POD versus offset printing, in my opinion, is you are trading short-term sales for long-term growth, right? So let's say for argument's sake, you ran 200 copies off of POD, right? And you got a convention this month, and you got another convention the month after that, and you're doing another convention 2 months after that. Well, you know what? In those first two conventions, you sold out 100 and 100. Damn it. You're out. And you already booked that third show 2 months later, right? So now you got to come out of pocket again. You got to take whatever few bits that you made at these last two conventions and reinvest it to print the same product instead of reinvesting it to make a new product so you can print later on. And it's just changing your mindset on how you're going to develop yourself and your catalog of books.
So like offset might be worth it if you're going to sell like so many books within like a given amount of time, like a year or so. Yeah, you can sell those.
Well, don't say that, because dude, I've got comics in my garage that I've had for 30 years. 30. Yeah. I've got a stack of some boxes from all of the books I printed over 30 years. So don't. If you can sell them in a year, you're doing great. Like sometimes,
because I always thought that's what you don't want is like unsold copies sitting around.
Don't do what I do. Exactly.
Okay. Just go out and sell them first.
There's no way to say like what book is going to sell more than another, and sometimes you just get stuck with them. But in the end, you make money. I guess what I'm saying too, I don't want to put down POD either, but I guess what we're saying is when you are getting your quotes for POD and all of a sudden you're paying $2,300 or $2,400 for a 32-page book. When you get to $2,300 to $2,500, that's the same cost for like a 2,000 print run on offset. So just start thinking about printing more when you get to that. Sure, if you're only getting orders for 20 or 30, do you really want to print 2,000? But if you are already spending like, let's say $2,500 on a print on demand run,
right?
Go to offset.
Now, because to go back to the other thing, I have books. I have cases of books in. I have the house I'm in. We have the house across the street with cases of books from '92,
right,
and '93. So I mean, it's just like, but it just happens. But here's one thing though: is a few years ago, I sold off, I don't know, maybe 3,000 books to a retailer,
right?
And we sold it off for 50 cents a book.
Right.
We'd already made our money on the book, so this was all just cream. And he takes them and he sells them. I think he was selling them he was giving them away with every order. And he was just like, and I got rid of, like I said, probably about 3,000 books at 50 cents a book. I was like, listen, it was just extra cash.
I mean, look, sometimes that happens where you get stuck with books. Sure, you don't want that to happen, but look, with Backstock, like on my Kickstarters, I make a lot of money selling the Backstock. I've got an eBay store, I have an Etsy store, I have 2 web stores, and then I always have those books where I can, sell them to stores, if they want them. I mean, that's the thing is like you want to get your price down where you can sell full retail, but you're also making a profit selling wholesale, which could be 50 to 65% of your cover price. So like if you still have to be making money when you're selling it at a 65% discount. Like that's what the wholesale mindset is. And some people like, oh, I'm here's the $10 book. I'm selling it for $3 $3.50 wholesale, because that would be 50% to the store. The distributor takes 15. But like the book cost me $5. I can't sell it for, $3.50. But if you did an offset print run of a $10 trade, you should probably be getting them for $1. So you can get them for $1, and you're making $2.50 wholesale. You're selling some books direct to stores at 50%, not through the distributor, and then you're selling the rest on your website at full price, or sometimes with a 15% discount code or whatever. So it's just kind of like distributor discount, direct to store discount, and full retail is kind of what to think about, I guess.
Right. All right, let me throw this quick scenario.
Actually, Jay, hold on to your question. I want to get to some campaigns.
Oh my God, you got a Kismet spirit over here. We're on the roll right now.
I know. But I want to at least give Perry a pop, and I want to at least give this other guy.
Okay.
All right. And then Frank also has a campaign I want to pop as well. So we're gonna do this one real quick. This is Thomas Burgess.
Oh yeah, we traded.
Yep. I'm just giving him a shout out.
Totally.
Huh? Yeah.
I traded update trades with this guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he wanted to come on the show. He just couldn't make it. So hopefully on his next campaign. But I just wanted to give him a quick shout out. Go check this out. This is Mr. Howell. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great.
And then we're gonna pull up Perry's book, and then we're gonna pull up Frank's book, and we're gonna run through them. It's quick, and then we're gonna get back to Mr. Rosario.
I got you.
Right?
It's okay.
All right. Hold on. Cold-blooded. There we go. All right. There we go. Perry, what we got?
You did an update trade too, right? Yeah, cool, man.
All right. This is Cold-Blooded, volumes 1 and 2. It's about Rembrandt Snart, who misses his dad, and while holding out hope after his father's disappearance 5 years ago, he discovers latent reptilian abilities brought out by a shadowy figure determined to end his life. If you like Dragon Ball Z, One Punch Man, My Hero Academia, you'll probably like this. It's centered on fighting. It's a shonen/seinen manga, basically the equivalent of like a superhero comic.
All right. Cool.
Do you have? Can you show some of the interiors? Yeah, scroll down.
Yeah. I'm gonna scroll down.
Nice.
Oh.
So I mean, how many volumes are you looking to produce? Because I see 2.
This is volumes 1 and 2. I think I technically just use print on demand, so I'll just print like a little bit more than what I need for the campaign, just in case.
Right.
These are the first 5 pages of chapter 9, which is beginning of volume 2. And but my book, for the most part, is also free to read. I have it on Webtoon and Tapastic, so you can see even more pages there. And if you sign up for my email list, I have like you can get a PDF of like the first 3 chapters.
Now, these books that you're showing at conventions, these are also print on demand?
Yes.
So what are you paying now for a print on demand volume? It's like 140 pages or something?
Well, volume 1 is like 200 pages, and volume 2 will be 139 pages. And
what were you paying for offset for those each? Probably like $5 a piece?
Well, I was using I think it was closer to like $7. And I used Comics Wellsprings first, but now I'm using a smaller printer out of Arizona. I think they're called Hero and Villain Designs.
Okay.
And I think technically he's print on demand too.
Okay.
But I only like order books like a few times a year. And I only go to like maybe 3 or 4 cons a year tops.
Have you checked out RA Comics Direct?
I have not.
You should check out them. They have really good prices for black and white manga size stuff. And
is that offset or POD?
I think it's POD for lower print runs. You'd have to just price it out. Maybe it might come to the same amount. It might be a little bit cheaper, but they're RA printing, RA Comics Direct. They're out of Northern California. But I guess it's just a matter of black and white is definitely going to be cheaper than color. Just at least approach some printers and just get some quotes for an offset run. And even if your Kickstarter doesn't fund or you get some of the money, if you're working a day job or you have other ways of putting the money in, put the money in and just think about, getting an offset run, right? Like, shouldn't you just at least get a quote to know what the cost is to get that price down?
It never hurts to have more information.
$7 a book is way too much, dude. It should be like $1 or $2 a piece. What you should be paying, I think.
Yeah, I think. Well, also, what size is the book? Is it a standard comic size, or is it like a 6x9, 8.5 by 5.5?
It's like it's gonna be a 5.75 by like 7.
Yeah. That's manga size.
Yeah.
No, that's a good, because you tend, like, those books tend to come out a lot cheaper. The per unit cost.
I didn't realize what I was using was print on demand, because when I went to websites and they wanted a quote, I was like, what? I don't get to see how much it is beforehand. I just didn't understand that.
Yeah, because what it is with POD, the prices tend to be fixed, right?
Okay.
Because they're running off of basically giant digital presses, which we know as copiers, right? And those prices, I worked in digital printing forever, and like those prices that come down for whether it be Xerox, Canica, or Canon, or whatever machine they're running on.
Ryko.
Yeah, they're all fixed. They have a fixed. Like every impression is a fixed price. So they can structure like a pay list and be like, all right, this is what it costs, and that's what it is. Unlike POD, unlike offset, where the more you do, the cheaper it gets, because the longer they run that machine, the less expensive it becomes for them.
Right.
Yeah.
I just put a link in the chat for RA Comics Direct. You could easily go on there and get like a quote for manga size stuff, and just see. But yeah, I think they'll even push you towards an offset run if you do more than like 500.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's not too bad. 500 copies.
But I would say, and so maybe you don't always have to get 2,000. Like, you could probably get less from certain printers. But I would say just start getting at least quotes on offset and try to get your costs down, because then you can start wholesaling and making money and getting them into stores and stuff, which I think is kind of like the goal to building a bigger fan base, because you have other people selling it for you.
What was that other distributor you mentioned? You mentioned Lunar and something else.
All right, so should I put this in the chat? Like, where should I put this stuff?
You can put it in
comments.
the chat.
Should I put it in comments? Oh, I see. I can't comment for some reason on here.
Oh, you put it in the private chat.
Okay.
And I'll put it in the regular chat.
Okay,
yeah, my book is a manga. I see Masked One.
I see. So you guys know about Comics Mainstream?
Yes.
And you know about Lunar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked them up earlier when you mentioned them.
Universal Distributors?
I don't.
All right. Cool. We're going to do this for now. Oop, there we go. We're back. But yeah.
Universal Distributors, Comics.
All right, let me pull up. Well, Frank, I'm going to pull up yours.
Okay. Yeah, there's a bunch. And then, like, for manga, dude, there's a lot of manga sells really well in bookstores.
Yeah.
Right. So this is our latest Kickstarter. This is our fourth one with the Asylum Press banner. I've done some under my own name, but yeah, Fearless Dawn. Vampire Macabre, Fearless Dawn, and Vampire. So a little bit complicated, but we are crowdfunding 4 different books, as well as some stickers and some enamel pins. So we're throwing some merch in there too. So Fearless Dawn, as you know, it's Steve Mannion's book. He's a really cool illustrator, comic book artist. He writes and draws his own stuff. If you haven't seen his books, they're really cool. Vampires is from the editor of Haunted Horror and all those books that IDW did. It's a collection of pre-code vampire tales, like EC stuff, but all the non-EC stuff that we scanned from the original comics and, retouched the color. Vampire Macabre is a book that I write myself pretty much. So it's an anthology, but it's also has vampire characters like Nosferatu and Zafira, which is like a Mad Max vampire. And this issue has an all original 6-page Tim Vigil story that had never seen print before. And then, the Fearless Dawn Swimsuit Edition is like a pinup book of Steve Mannion stuff. He's really good at drawing like sexy girls, as you can tell. So there's multiple covers. There's some exclusive covers. So those are the books. And then the creators, of course, myself. This is some of my credits: Bob's Burgers, Heavy Metal, Solar Opposites.
I like how you're rocking that bow tie.
Yeah, right. Steve Mannion, he's worked. Fearless Dawn is mainly his thing, but he's done some stuff for DC and Marvel, and he really recently did a Fearless Dawn Hellboy crossover. But if you haven't seen his stuff, you got to check it out. Yeah. Tim Vigil, obviously from Faust, Gothic Knights, EO, super famous in the 90s. His Kickstarter right now is up to like 90K, man. It's crazy. 3 days is up to 90K. I mean, that's the power of, having a popular character and being famous, right? Steve Carswell Baines, he's the guy that edited Haunted Horror, Mummies, Ghosts, all that stuff at IDW, and we're just kind of taking the other stuff that he didn't publish with IDW and putting it out. Edu Mena, he's an up-and-coming indie artist. He's worked for me a lot. He's been in heavy metal, and he's doing a lot more stuff. I think he's going to break out pretty soon and, work for the majors, and then he won't return my phone calls. Mora Mike is another guy from Mexico. He's up and coming too. He's doing the Nosferatu story, but he's really amazing. I think it's not going to be long before you're going to see him at Marvel and DC. So he's another talent. And these are the books. These are the titles. 3 covers to Vampire Macabre. We keep the prices down. They're only $5 each. So, pretty inexpensive. Tim Vigil, myself, and a sketch cover. And you can see some of the interiors here. This is the Tim Vigil story. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Zafira is like a Mad Max type vampire in a Mad Max world. And Nosferatu is kind of like a S&M, not R-rated, but, it's kind of an erotic vampire story.
Now, these are all going to come out through Diamond, right? At some point?
Yep.
These are all going to... Okay.
Shorts already has.
Which one has?
Fearless Dawn Shorts already shipped.
Oh, okay.
So some of the stuff already, we already fund it and it ships. So I'm not really too worried about... I try to coordinate the Kickstarter with the release of the books, but because we do so many titles, I'm upfront about it. I'm like, dudes, this might get to the store before you get it on the Kickstarter. So I don't think people care too much. Some people just want to buy books on Kickstarter and don't want to pre-order a comic store. So,
Right.
And this is some of the interiors from Shorts. I mean, the Steve Mannion is just great. Look at that stuff. I mean, you don't see comic book artists that draw like that very often.
I mean, is it my screen? But it feels like this is a little Bernie Wrightson, that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the Bernie Wrightson. Yeah. A little Dave Stevens, a little Eric Powell.
Richard Corbin.
Yep, Corbin for sure. And this is vampires. You know, you can see this is kind of like just it's pre-code 1950s stuff. And we try to scan and recolor it and touch it up the best we can. So pages are really yellowed, and you know, there's a lot you have to do to get them into this state. But you know, these haven't really been reprinted elsewhere, except maybe PS Art Books kind of had them, but not in the collections that we do. And then this is some stuff from the swimsuit edition. You know, it's basically a pinup book. Steve Mannion doing what he does best. And when we do Kickstarters, you know, it's kind of confusing. Some people think it's confusing, but we offer you as little as you can buy one book for $5, or you can buy collections. And then we have every reward is also an add-on. And it takes a long time to build that out. But some people, you know, are like, I just want this book and this book and this book, but I don't want this, and I want to get some stickers. So believe me, it probably took me 3 8-hour days to build the campaign. So kind of there, it's just because we have a lot of stuff, and we do sell it. We do sell a lot of the back stock, so it's worth it in the end, I guess. But some Kickstarters, you know, they don't do that. They just put one book, 10 covers, and that's it. But I like to offer all this stuff.
Sure.
That's a risque cover by Drazen Kazjan. He's kind of a famous horror guy, and he's got this kind of cult following. He did a risque and a regular cover.
Nice.
So is there a risque non-nude cover?
Is it non-nude? No, it's nude. But see, he did one that was clothed and then one non-clothed.
Right. Has that worked out for you guys? Like that the nude covers?
Yeah, I mean, we sell them all through Diamond as well, and we sell them through Diamond. Like stores will still order that stuff, and there's a certain audience for it, so it tends to increase the overall revenue.
Gotcha.
And then we have some naughty covers. So this is a naughty cover I did. Tim Vigil did a naughty cover, and that'll be in color, but we just don't have the color yet.
Right.
Then Zafira, that's another character from Vampire Macabres. That's another naughty cover. And then we have a mystery box. And, you know, some of the other stuff, we have sketch covers. I offer sketch covers as well with a sketch.
Cool.
That's some of my stuff. And then, you know, this is Franken Horrors. This is another brand we're developing. So this is like the sticker pack if you want stickers.
Nice.
And soft enamel pins, we're doing that too. So it's definitely a lot of stuff, but sometimes just because of Kickstarter's policy of you can't, you know, launch another I know they changed it recently, but you can't launch another campaign until you finish supplying the old campaign. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of let's just put a bunch of stuff in there. So this is kind of like a little bit of everything.
Nice.
So we make our stretch goals simple: posters, stickers, bookmarks. You know, nothing that's too crazy or that's going to be too. And then and these are the add-ons. So what the add-ons are basically is like all the back stock. Everything we published before, stuff that probably you haven't seen, or is like some of it could be 30 years old. Some of it might be from the previous Kickstarter where we overprinted, like that was our previous Kickstarter. We did a sticker pack. That was from our previous Kickstarter right there. So it's just a way to, you know, oh, you missed the last one? Here, you can get it. Billy Boy, you know, that Billy Boy 1 and 2 came out in the early 2000s. We're on our last few boxes. Zombie Terrors, that book is like 10 years old. We're on the last few of those. Eek came out in 2010, so that's an old book too. You know, Warlash, that came out a while back.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Those are the two newer Warlashes. We kickstarted those a couple of years ago. This is the backstock of Fearless Dawn. so it's a lot of stuff from, this is the stuff I did with Robert Ryan, who is from Girls and Corpses magazine. He's off doing like low budget movies, horror movies now. But, you know, we're down to the last few boxes of those. So, I mean, Kickstarter is really a way to really clean out all that stuff that, you know, you overprinted and you've already made your money back on it, you know, but now you're just like getting rid of the last sets of it. So, yeah, Chesticles, Deadly Are the Naked. Jim Smith, he's a artist on Ren and Stimpy. I did a couple sketchbooks of him in the mid-2000s. We're on the last box of those. So, Kickstarter, I say, is a great way of doing that.
Yeah.
And then digital rewards, too. I can't believe people that are overseas that do not want to pay $70 for shipping, they're like, can you offer everything as a digital comic? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And I've made, you know, sometimes I think a few $100s, if not up to $1,000 on just selling PDFs. So the more stock you have, just sell it as PDFs. I mean, people that don't want to pay shipping still want to buy the book, so it's fine with me.
Yeah, I ran a campaign where I think 57% of my backers were digital. You know, and it was just like, yeah.
Was it foreigners? Like, who were they?
Yeah, they were all over the place.
Yeah, right.
I have an $8 level where you could just get the regular stuff with the current property, but I have a $45 level where it has like 40 different pieces in there.
Right. So you were in the 90s. Where were you? You're on the East Coast or from New York? Is that where you were?
Yeah, from New York City.
Right. So you probably remember Cry for Dawn, Monks and Wisner, and all those guys.
Yeah, I would be at shows with them all the time.
Yeah, totally. And Everett Hartzell with Razor and Jim Ballant, like those guys were always at those East Coast shows. And they just, you know, they're just always hawking their butts, man. Always. And we always had a relationship with the dealers, and you do a show, and then the dealers would be like, what can you wholesale me? And I don't know, there was just a real vibe for like indie people back then. I just hope we can kind of get that back because there's so many cool indie books out there. But when I go to shows, like maybe I don't go to the right shows, or I go to bigger shows. I see people always dealing variants, you know, these higher priced books, these Marvel, DC. I'm like, where are all these indie? Where's the table of indie guys? Like, remember Glenn Hammond? Do you remember him from Raw Comics? Remember that guy? He was from California. He would deal in like, Tim Vigil stuff and Razor, and he would just carry the adult black and white horror stuff. And he was just so into it, and he dealt it, and he found a fan base for it. So if we could find, like, that's what I think. That's why I like these guys like Comics Mainstream, Comics Distro, and Powerhouse, is they're really into the indie books, and they're willing to distribute it. So I think we need to support them, give them our books, and yeah, I get it. It's because they oh sorry, I'm getting a cramp in my leg. You have to send them books on consignment, right? So you have to, here's 10 books, and then you might wait a while to get paid, but look, that's how it works with some distributors. Like, they can't buy your books outright. At least they're making their way, and they're pushing your books out there, you know? So I try to send them 100 of each book, but I'm doing an awesome print run. I have more. I'm just like, here's 100, here's 100, here's 100, that's 300. Those guys it's working for me, you know? And indie guys are telling you, you can't throw out 100 books, send them like 20 or 10 and see if they sell. When they sell, send them more, you know?
All right, cool. Now, Steve, Frank, what we normally do is I'm going to throw out a question, and then we all go around round robin. Everybody answers a question. So we're gonna start back up with that.
Oh, there's nothing. Right. Sam Invest, they don't got nothing coming up.
Oh, yeah, my landing page is up.
Yeah, where's his landing page? Show his landing page.
Puerto Ricans.
New Yorkers.
Oh my God!
You love that, right? There's a bit of sharpness here, baby. There's a bit of sharpness. Remember, he turned 87 today. He's not operating.
I know. He put on the thicker goggles, the gazelles.
Put it in the show notes in the private chat.
I'll put it in the private chat right now. Here it is.
So I can pull you up. Sam. Oh no! Listen to this.
Look at that. Thank you, Rosario.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, Sarah. You're very welcome.
All right. Calm down, Jesus.
Even though you're in Texas, you're still in New York. Tell us.
Damn right, baby.
I feel the love.
But you know, it's funny. Your partner called out sick.
Yeah. Well, it's because of you. You know,
that's because of me.
He's saying so. I'm with JD. That's what he said.
No, he's coming on next week.
Yeah, so you think?
Oh, well, that's true, right?
That's right. He chills with the real JD.
I know.
Right, Mark?
Anyway, so the landing page is up for book 4. Launches January 3rd. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yes, there's a lady in my toilet. Gotcha. The series goes to a whole nother level with Herman and Duty. And Herman's trying to catch the talking jalapeno. And Agent Doe is tracking the UFO. They found the crash site, and he's hot on Duty's trail. So all worlds are closing in on Duty. So sign up today. Be there for the launch. It's going to be fuego. And if you were there and you backed any of the previous campaigns and you come back for a physical tier, you're going to get this right here. This enamel pin of the iconic classic, what started it all, Duty in the toilet pin. I'll hold it up.
Can you let him show his pin? What kind of production value you got going
Wow,
on?
There you go. All right.
It is. So for everybody who's coming back, this you get for free if you for a physical pledge at any level physical. You're gonna get this. This is the iconic. This is the one that started it all. And that's my way of saying thank you for
All right,
coming back.
Sam, let me ask you a question about that. I'm gonna ask a question about that pin right there. Now, is it me, or is that the shape doubles as a spaceship and a toilet bowl?
Yes.
What do you think?
So am I correct on that? Because my camera's not good. I'm like, I think that's a very well placed idea on that.
I'll let the audience decide.
Ooh.
Yes. So it's gonna be fun. I'm excited about
panel,
this.
what do you think?
I got a lot of good things happening with Duty in January 3rd. It's gonna be fun. I mean, the whole squad's coming for the live launch. The party January 3rd, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Cast the Craze podcast. It's gonna be so exciting.
Nice. Looks like I'm getting a pin. Wait a second. We lost our host.
What happened to glasses?
We lost the host. Party time. All right, here we go.
I'm here, damn it.
That bastard.
You know,
I want to ask a question though. I want to ask a question before we get on with anything else. Please let me ask it. It's very important. And I didn't notice this until you gave me the single screen on Sam. Can I get a single screen on Sam again? On Sam again, please.
Poor Sam.
Here we go.
Sam's on the spot. Yo, Sam.
What's up?
Why does the background look like you tagging up? Because you're still here in New York. When we know that you are not in New York anymore. Why are you fighting, bro?
Not him calling you out, bro.
Bro, you even threw the paint
I didn't even notice the hat change.
You can take the boy from the hood, but you can't take the hood from the boy.
Amen.
I'm just saying.
Amen.
He tried to remain authentic by throwing the paint on the steps and everything.
No, my tag name in high school was Poe, P-O-E.
You motherfucker. I know exactly, you son of a...
What?
I never saw that in Hillcrest. Where was that? Where was that tag?
Because you were probably in class.
Oh my god!
You weren't hanging out with us at the handbook parts.
Oh wow!
In the back, yeah. Those.
I was. What? I don't know.
No. That was the hangout spot for the bad kids in the back of the school.
It was right outside the dean's office. It was right outside the dean's office.
Okay, relax. It's Visenia's time.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Are you the artist?
Yeah, I'm the artist.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Fire.
Yeah, it looks very cool.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So
this is my comic called Celestial Pulse. It's about a girl trying to figure out who she is. One day a guy shows up, puts a gun in her face, and now she got to figure out who he is and why he's trying to kill her. It's well, we got 8 issues deep. I'm working on the 9th and the 10th one as we
And you do
speak.
color work too?
Yeah, I do all the color work. I do the backgrounds. I do the story. You name it, I'm the hat that wears it. The only thing I don't do is the editing.
We see some interiors. Are the interiors black and white or?
The first 4 issues are in black and white, and then the rest turns into color. But there's a reason for that. Cannot spoil it.
Okay.
But hold
It's
on,
your
I got
book.
the book here. Yeah.
And you're doing Kickstarters as well.
Yeah, I do Kickstarters. And I go to conventions a lot. So I
Okay,
do.
cool.
Huh?
That's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
And how many people do you got on Twitch following you?
3,000 and some change.
Wow.
Good.
I think.
And how long do your Twitch streams last?
5 to 7 hours on a
Wow.
good day.
She is grinding it out. I'm telling you, when I
Yes.
met this young lady a few weeks ago, I was blown away by her
Yeah, it's
talent
great. Look at
and
all that
work ethic.
merch, enamel pins. When you're on Twitch, are you drawing or are you gaming? Like,
I'm
what's your?
drawing and I'm working on commissions, but most of the time I'm trying to work on my books and trying to get that out there. So yeah, the first 4 issues, they are black or white, like, you know, they look like
That's awesome.
this.
I love it.
But the rest, they're in color, so they look just like the cover, basically.
Right,
They're
right.
just
Oh, yeah. Oh, I love
blowing
it.
out
It's really good. It's really
Jesus.
really
in
hard.
color.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so I do
listen,
everything on this bad boy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Except for
Are
the
you
editing.
just-
And that's an interesting question I have for you. If you do everything except for the editing, is it easy to let go of that part, to have someone say this doesn't work, this does work?
Okay, so I write out the whole story. The only editing they're doing is my spell checking. That's it.
Oh, so you got a copy editor.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I got a
That was it.
copy editor. Yeah.
Okay.
The only time
I thought it was like
like
an editor that's like, all right, I like this, I don't like that.
yeah, so my husband, he's a blessing to me because he actually reads the sketch parts of my books to say, hey, Vess, maybe you should try a different angle with this. And then I'm like, oh, okay.
Maybe
That-
you
you
should
might be
sleep on the
right.
couch today. That when she doesn't like his comment.
No. He gets a pass because half of the every time Justin does not fail me when he's like, listen, you did that anatomy wrong. You should go back and check it. And I go and I look. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right.
Very good.
Like, sure. I'm
So
like,
basically, he's the editor.
yeah, he's the editor. You will
So-
see him in the book.
Okay.
Yeah, he's like,
He's
you'll
not the
see
guy with the
editor
gun,
and
right?
it's him. No.
Wait, he's the head.
man.
I thought he was the head salesman at conventions.
He's the head salesman at conventions too.
Very good.
Because everybody says, like, they look at my work and they go directly to him. They don't even go to me. They're
Is
like,
that a little
oh, you're the
off-putting?
artist? It is, because it's like there's not a lot of women in comics, sadly. So when it comes down to like us running a table, they direct, if you have a husband or a partner or somebody next to you that's male figure, they will automatically assume that that's the person that's doing everything.
Right.
So,
Does that mean you have to work harder for yourself because you're a woman in a man's, quote unquote, man's world?
I would say so. But the thing about it is, I feel like people get enamored with me, like they feel like I'm a unicorn. So what ends up happening is, like, I'll talk to them and then they'll get so into me that they're buying for their kids and they're talking about their children that knows how to draw. And like, being that I'm a content creator and my doors is always open and I keep my streams as PG as possible. They allow them to go in there to learn something so that they can, you know, become future comic creators in themselves. So, you know, it's like a double-edged sword, I would have to say.
And you make that's interesting that you can make Twitch work as an artist, because most people say, oh, it's harder to make it work and that you have to be more of a gamer, but you seem to be making it work.
Yeah, I think it's personality. I have a
Right.
lot of it. I come from New York. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm a lot. I am a lot to deal with. My husband can attest. But
You're
I
still
think
in
that's
New
what
York
it
now?
is. No, I live in Ohio now.
Oh my
It's
God.
the rent too
That's it.
damn
Kick
high.
her off. Kick her off.
Listen, the rent too high. Okay, I can't live out there.
I know.
But hey, listen. Definitely, I have a lot of personality, and I think that's what that is and key. And then the thing is, the majority of the people that's gonna watch you is artists themselves, and if they don't come to just hang out with you, they come to learn. And if you have your doors open to learning or like teaching them, they will most likely want to stay and talk to you and get to know you more. So I think like if you're doing Twitch, you have to be like talking, and after talking, making sure you stay engaged with everybody. So now I have like this little chat thing that talks for them, and they love it because it turns their stuff into different, voices and stuff like that. And
Right.
it just helps me stay focused on the art and also interact with them.
Nice.
So,
Totally. Are you selling to stores directly, like wholesale or anything?
I am starting to get into that because again, you remember when I said the networking was the issue. Being that I'm networking, some of the comic book, the managers from the comic book stores are like, "Yo, I would like to buy your books." So I've been, trying to set that up, make posters for them so that they can hang it up in their stores and stuff like that. So yeah,
it sounds really good.
I'm starting to open that up now.
Mm-hmm.
Frank, do you do a lot of?
It seems like you have enough for at least one trade paperback. Do you have a place where like the storyline is going to kind of end, where it's like a story? Like what issue is that?
I was thinking it was going to be the 10th issue, but I was talking to some people that were reading the comics and themselves, and they were like, I can cut it in the 4th issue and then, make another one and then cut that off at the 8th issue and then do it again. So I was like, oh, I might as well.
Don't manga books, don't they expect them to be like at least 150 to 200 pages like when you read a manga?
Yeah, but the thing about being American, none of the weebs like us. So don't even try to like coddle them because they're not going to be there for you. They're going to be there for My Hero and, Dragon Ball. And look I'm here with y'all. But when it comes to, our own people, they don't care about us. So, you do what you got to do to sell your books. That's it.
Right.
And
so if you put together a manga collection, the manga readers won't buy it because you're American?
Yep.
Wow.
I went to an anime convention thinking I was gonna make bread. $0 the whole time. They wanted to talk to me about every other anime that I knew about, except trying to ask me what mine was and what the story was about.
Can I offer a recommendation, Vest, to you?
Sure.
Take that to Puerto Rico, the Puerto Rico Comic Con. I know Ricky, he's the promoter. Awesome fucking dude. Mm-hmm. You will blow up. Being of Puerto Rican descent and taking this product where it is of manga descent, right? Because it's not manga for the purists, but it's within that style. And that you hit the Venn diagram for them over there. You're gonna kill it. You are gonna kill it. You don't know how much Eastern culture stuff goes over in Puerto Rico. It is so over. I mean, yeah, Anime Con is here in New York. It's big, but over there, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I remember as a kid in Puerto Rico watching, Voltron and Messenger before that stuff came out over here in the States, right? I mean, anime was huge. You'll kill it, man. You will kill it.
Another thing you should know, like I just put that thing in the chat, the IBPA distributor. They're an independent book distributor that distributes graphic novels, books, but they're really indie friendly. I talk with Diamond Book Distributors, and what they tell me is stores like Barnes & Noble cannot keep manga on the shelves.
Wow.
So when someone's looking at your manga and they see it on the shelf and it's in the manga format, they don't really know who you are or where you're from. I mean, maybe they'll know from your name that you're not from Japan or something, but there's such a demand for it that I think if it got into bookstores and was on the manga thing and they displayed it as a new title, you might sell because there's just such a demand for it and they can't always get what they need. So if you found a way to print in the States where you could supply people, reducing that down to a manga size and putting it out, figuring out a way to put it out, I think you could do pretty well, actually. Don't just because you did one manga show or a couple and they were like, oh, we don't want you. It doesn't mean that you don't have a place with manga fans.
Yeah, I would just have to figure out how to get into Barnes and Nobles. So like that's the only thing. Again, that's where like the marketing and trying to figure that stuff out is holding me back, because I know I can do much more. It's just not knowing. Yeah.
You just got to learn about wholesale distribution, like that ibpaonline.org. That's an independent distributor of books. So they're, like a bigger distributor like, Ingram. They're not going to take you because you're just one person doing one book.
Right.
But IBPA exists to help the indie publisher that is publishing books. Now, if you're doing, floppy comics, they don't distribute that. That's Diamond, Lunar, and all these other little guys. But when you put that together in a trade like Harry's doing, IBPA will look at you. Even if you just have one book, they'll help you get that book out and help you market it and help you. It's just something like call them up and just have a meeting. Like, be like, hey, I got this book. It's manga. I want to put it in a trade. I don't know anything about distributing. What can you do for me? I heard that you help indie people. And just take a meeting and see what they say. They'll, of course, want you to print it and have an ISBN. And there's a 9-month window that you just learn about the independent book trade distribution cycle, which is different than the 3-month comic book cycle. It's a matter of learning about comic books and then learning about book trade. It's a totally separate thing. But because manga is so popular, not only in bookstores, but libraries and universities and libraries in, education. There's 10,000, well, I don't know. There's 2,000 indie bookstores, but I think there's 11,000 universities and maybe 20 to 30,000 elementary and high schools that all have money to buy this stuff. So there's your potential market, and forget about comic stores because you probably only sell 1,000 to 2,000 for them.
Mm-hmm.
But you can do both. Like you can put floppies out for comic stores, shrink that thing down to manga, and get it out to a different market. Just gotta learn about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm definitely gonna do that.
I mean, you're already doing. Look, you're doing comics. You're printing. You're making merch. Your enamel pins. You're getting those printed in China, right?
Yeah.
You're using Alibaba, so get some quotes. Use Alibaba. Get some quotes for your manga, and just start learning about printing there. But manga, I know a lot of manga is printed here because it's black and white, and that's. I think you can get it printed here on newsprint for almost the same price as China, but you just got to find the local manga printer. I don't know who they are. Do you guys know who the states manga printers are? I know they're around.
Isn't it hard to get stuff printed in newsprint?
Look, all manga is. Manga's all newsprint, right?
I know, but like for like, because Viz has access to that, I would assume. But like for me, like who would I go to for that? Because I hear that's really tough. Like Alterna is one of the few publishers that does, like newsprint, and they don't do manga size. That is the thing. So
right. No, but you're doing manga, so your stuff works. Like, dude, you just gotta start searching the internet and find printers and get like 10 different quotes and be like, I want to do an offset book. Like, look at all the regular, like, look at the books that are printed, like prose books, right? A prose novel is black and white on newsprint. Those printers should be able to print manga because it's just graphic, black and white newsprint. And they're all over the place. There's places in Florida. I mean, you just got to start looking around for these offset printers. And, I need to find some of these too, but yeah, it's something that's on my list here. I don't know who the local manga, printers are. But they exist.
I would actually reach out to Peter Cimetti from Alterna because he does all the offset, and he's actually pretty free with the information. So he'll probably just tell you who the printers are. You
Right.
just reach out to them. You just say, listen, these are my specs. I need, 120-page book, black and white, color cover, blah, blah, blah. And they'll give you a rate. They'll give you a price. So, I mean,
Go ahead.
That's a good idea. He's pretty responsive about this stuff.
You know what I was going to say is that IBPA site that I just gave you, independent distributors and wholesalers, those guys will also help you find printers. Like they're all about helping the indie guy. So they will probably be able to help you too.
Oh, this one looks interesting. It says, if you want to look for how people print, contacting My Mangaka Life and YT Mangaka would be good sources.
Yeah, Wyatt Manga. He's,
Are those individuals or those companies? I don't know who those people are.
They're individuals that work with a certain company.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
pretty much.
So you said a certain company which shall remain nameless. Is that?
Yes, with
Saturday.
Yeah, I got that real quick. I got that real quick.
I'm just saying.
Well, Wyatt Manga's with Saturday AM. That's who he's with.
Oh.
The other
Look
person, I
at
don't
her
really know.
face. Ooh, wow. Somebody's
That's
gonna get smashed. Step up to
I'm bobbing.
That's Visenia, just tell them how much you love Borinqueña. That's all.
Oh. You gotta do that, okay?
You know what?
Yeah, you gotta do
I'm
that
not
to
here
me,
to
bro.
fight.
Just
That's
tell it.
wrong, man. Why you gotta do that to me? It's all right. Don't worry about it. I'll catch you. I know where you live. Homeboy.
That's fine. Bring my pins when you come visit.
Oh my god.
Yo, I'll be sending you the next fucking books, and I'm still not gonna send you the books.
Now look, I don't normally do this, but I'm gonna share out my campaign.
Let's do it.
So here we go.
Oh,
right.
I feel like I'm missing something.
Well, normally I show everybody else. I don't think I've ever shown my campaign on my own show. I just never do it. But I do want to show this. It's the video. I'm gonna play it real quick. Let me just do this real quick. Because the video, I didn't do this video. I actually paid someone to do it. If I can ever get one.
This book looks really good.
Thank you.
Hey, you got a project we
Change
love?
the thumbnail. That looks good.
You got a project we love from Kickstarter, huh? Nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Whoa, nice.
It is difficult to write these words, but I must for my own sake. I have done, seen, and been part of many things in my life.
Yeah, I paid
Very
someone
cool.
to do that. It was actually Tyler Carpenter. He did a great job. What?
Nice.
I always
Oh,
thought
nice.
that,
He made the
Oswald
video?
would have a British accent.
Well, he's from New York. How is he gonna have a British accent? But anyway.
Because that's what I always heard whenever I read the books. Like, that's the
No.
voice I hear, the British accent. How is Jean-Luc Picard, a Frenchman, have a British accent? Doesn't matter.
Because he had a shitty French accent when they filmed the pilot episode. They had to redo his lines.
So that's cool. So that's going to be manga size too?
No, we actually print these comic size. So,
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No, these are. I'm doing these as regular comic size. What's funny is I'm a fan of Wendy and Richard Pini.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Totally.
You know, I love them because they constantly reprint their work in many different forms, and I'm a big fan of that. So Daphne and I, with our other book, Tall Tales, we originally started digest size, and we just recently brought them up to comic book size, and they're black and white, and then they're going to be colored, and then we're going to digest again. We're going to do all kinds of stuff. But yeah, but right now it's comic size.
What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing for distribution?
Right now, I'm just doing Kickstarter. And I'm going through Adam out on the West Coast.
Uh-huh.
And I'm looking. There were a couple of the guys you were talking about, Powerhouse Distro and Comics Mainstream. I'm going to contact them this week.
Yeah, totally.
Because I have a lot of books.
You do. Definitely get those out to them. Do you have ISBNs on them?
Actually, yeah, the ones we do have, I have ISBNs on them.
How many do you have in stock? Thousands?
Yeah. I have about a couple thousand of each.
Why don't you Diamond?
I don't have that ISBN. We have an ISBN, but it's not the one they want formatted. It's not formatted correctly for their system.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could put a sticker on it.
Yeah, but nobody likes it.
Do you know what I mean? The way around that, and this is what I do. You just bag it and put a sticker on the bag.
That's a thought.
I mean, it'll take a while, but I do. Here's what I do. I sell signed comics to Diamond all the time, and it needs a different ISBN than the comic. So I bag it, I board it, and I put a sticker on the outside of the bag. Of course, nobody wants a comic with a sticker on it, but if you could find, these are manga digest size?
They're comic size. They're standard comic books.
Oh, I see. These are how many? Oh, I see. You don't have the collected editions printed, right? But you have a few thousand of each?
Yeah, well, these are I have a couple thousand of each of actual comic books. It's a whole different thing though.
Right. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, bag them, board them. I mean, you could. Depends on if you want to get them out there. I mean, I just like Diamond. I like being in the shops, and if you have that many, you probably would get anywhere from 500 to 1,500 orders. I mean, something to think about.
Yeah, it's just these books were in a fortunate circumstance. There's just something that happened. We just ended up with all these books. And I've been selling them. It's just I'm just trying to get to that profit line, but we'll see what happens. So, do
you have enough for a collected manga edition? But just looking at it, I think that should be manga size because I think it would appeal to manga fans. Like, how many pages do you have done? Oh, right. Nice.
This is the first volume. The one I'm advertising that I'm putting on a Kickstarter now, so the second volume. So they're both 120 pages.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, right. They're 100. I see. So that could be.
That's a standard comic.
Yeah, right. I don't think people mind that there's a sticker on those types of books, though.
Yeah.
Because you buy those in.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were doing single comics. Everything you do is like a bigger collection, right?
No, we do single. Dude,
he has everything.
He got everything.
If you ask for it, he has it.
Right.
Yeah,
these are
just regular standard
collected.
comics. Right. It's like I was looking for that.
You want the Just Pros, you got the Just Pros. You want the small size, you got the small size. You want the old variant covers, you got the variant covers. What do you want? What do you got?
Exactly.
He's like, there's a little comic book bodega going on. What do you got? What do you want? What do you got?
Yeah, so I mean,
this is how we used to print books.
Right.
These are digest size.
Very cool.
That's my other title. So but yeah, we're like.
Those ever get to bookstores or comic shops?
This one did, but we self-distributed these. These never made it into Diamond, but we sold I've sold a ton of these things, on my own.
Dude, you should look into that, either Diamond Books or that distributor that I just showed you, the IBPA.
Yeah.
They will help you get into bookstores. I'm telling you, digest size manga and fantasy, that shit is huge right now. It's huge.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, the whole thing is. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. All right, cool. But yeah, I mean, the thing is I'm working through a system now, and I'm trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to self-distribute and publish again, or if I'm going to actually try to find a publisher this time around. So those are my next big questions.
It's a lot to deal with, right? It's a lot.
Yeah, and you know, it's one of those things. But I don't know. You know, I mean, it's like I've self-published, right? And I have like all right. So we have a few different things going. Jay, I think, is going to go the route where he's going to self-distribute because I got a lot of guys who are self-distributing, right? We know a guy named Sam Quinton. That's Larry's guy. Sam is awesome. He distributes to like, I don't know, what, about 80 or 90 different shops, and he's selling. Yeah, and he's selling probably a couple thousand books to them. He also deals with Adam over on the West Coast.
Sam Quinton, can you hook me up with him?
Yeah, definitely.
He's like an East Coast distributor.
No. He self-distributes. He doesn't distribute anybody else's books but his own.
Oh, sorry. Oh, he's a comic book creator like us.
Yeah.
Right, I got it.
Exactly. Yeah, and then there's another guy we know, Marvin Wynn, where he self-distributes what, over 200 stores, Jay?
Yeah, no, 300 stores.
That's
he's really cool. He has no problem sharing the list of people that have bought for him, and you know, I mean, he's a great resource and a great dude. On top of that,
and he's doing offset printing too, offset runs.
Now he is, because he just got into Diamond, so he'll be in the January catalog.
Oh, okay. So he distributed it to so many stores that finally Diamond accepted him because he was like, "Hey, I'm distributing to this many." Correct. That's cool.
Correct.
Yeah.
There he
That's
goes.
awesome.
There he goes. Marvin's showing up in the chat.
He felt a disturbance in the force.
You met him?
Hey, Marvin, what? You're supposed to be me.
I mean, but sure, that's like what we all could do. And I sell directly to stores too, the stores that ordered. But to be honest, I'd rather just sell to Diamond because it's just easier.
Yeah.
Now, Frank, let me ask you a question because I haven't dealt with him in a while. And me and Mr. Rosario go back and forth on this one. How long does it take Diamond to pay you?
I think it's
Roughly.
30 days after you ship.
Okay.
After you ship.
Right. after they receive it, 30 days after they receive it.
Okay.
That's about.
That's different. I thought it was you know, the 4 months from well, no, that would be 4 months.
4 months after you, after you
listen,
submit it, I guess.
Yeah.
But the sooner you ship and deliver, the sooner you'll get paid. It's a newsstand. Like if you're doing a magazine, that sometimes takes 90 days.
Yeah.
And bookstore distribution could take 90 days. And then the thing with bookstores, there's a lot of returns.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a high return rate with that.
Now I know what's her name? Iron Circus, Trotman. She has a deal with a book distribution company, and she's moving trades through them, and that's her whole deal.
What's the name of the company?
I don't recall the name of the company, but I found it through her site.
Okay.
Right? She listed it on there. And,
I could look it up. What's your name? Because I'm kind of curious.
Iron Circus. Right, C. Spike Trotman, Iron Circus Comics.
How do you spell it? I-N Circus?
Iron.
Oh, Iron Circus.
Yeah, Iron Circus.
Mm-hmm. I think she goes in a Spike Trotman.
Yeah.
Do you think she just sells trades through a distributor?
I know she trades through the distributor because she is publishing other people, and I recall that the book distributor. One of their things was they wanted you to be putting out at least one trade a month, which she does more of.
Oh, she does. Right. I see. Consortium Book Sales and Distribution, which is a division of Ingram, Right, that was their deal. They needed, right, so consortium, here, I'll put this in the chat too. This is another independent one. This is kind of similar to that IBPA that I sent you. So I'll put this in the chat too. Yeah, this is interesting too, because this, I don't think IBPA needs you to put out one a month, because that's kind of a lot. Now you're actually a real publisher. But that's cool to know. Consortium, book, and distribution. So does she know, like, what is she doing for numbers? Did she say?
That I don't know. No.
Well,
Yes,
I
like
did.
a few thousand, probably shipping a few thousand.
No, she's shipping a lot more than that.
Really?
She's done a few podcasts where she was talking about it. She doesn't give exact numbers, but she was saying, like, okay, she shipped out, I don't know, I think like 20,000 books or somewhere in that area to her distributor. They sold out, and they turned around and they were like, listen, we need more books.
Wow.
And she was like, I got to go back to press. And this is the thing she was warning people about. She was like, you have to have that war chest of cash, because for her to go back to press again was obviously, and she hadn't been paid yet. Right. So because they pay out 90 days. So so she was like, you got to have that war chest of cash. And that was one of the things she was just warning everybody about. She says, you could do it, but, you know, you got to make sure you have, if they call you back, they're going to be like, look, you got a lot, you know, we have to put this up.
She does have a shitload of titles. I mean, I see what it is. It's kind of like the stuff you see on Webtoon, right? It's young adult.
Mm-hmm.
It's young adult fantasy.
Slice of lifestyle stories.
Slice of life and some erotica. Wow, and she can't. That's awesome. Yeah, no, this stuff is super popular.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, I get it. Slice of life. Yeah, that's why Webtoon, like young adult, this is what they want. This stuff is like, they're eating this stuff up. Yep. I wish I could write this stuff, but I can't figure out I just can't figure out like what it's about when I read them. I'm a little bored, I guess.
It's like skip, good part. Skip, good part.
You know what? Dialogue in this relationship, and she likes this guy, and he's cute, but she doesn't know. And
my ignorance is it's Harry Potter just without the magic. You know, they're all in some sort of boarding school or in some sort of school where they all wear uniform and they got their little clique and you know, mixing the little Mean Girls, whether it's on the boy or the girl side, and you know, a pet. There's always a pet. The pet is huge. Whether it's a dog, a cat, a bird, there's always a pet, you know?
All right.
Do you think all of this stuff is done in digest form?
No.
I don't think so. I think it's standard trade size, TPB stuff.
Yeah. I think a lot of it's standard size. But lady and gentlemen, we've made it to the end of the show, though. We're at 2 hours.
Wow. Whoa. You see, you got Vesh, who, you know, she's in for the long haul. Like,
I know. That's true. She's like, this is an early night for her.
This ain't nothing.
Yeah, she's ready to go first. All right, everybody, let's go to her Twitch channel right now. Let's all switch over.
Let's all switch over. We'll spend another 5 hours on there. Jesus.
There we go.
Right.
There we go.
All right. So let's start with Frank. Frank, please let everybody know where they can find you and your work, sir.
Hey guys, Frank Forte. I'm Frank Forte Art on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Asylum Press is the publishing company. AsylumPress.com. At also Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And then our Kickstarter ends like in an hour or two. It's Vampire Macabre and Vampires. But we run Kickstarters all the time, so check us out.
All right, Mr. Vera.
Hey, what's up? I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera, host of Catch the Craze podcast, a weekly show where we interview creators like yourself. And check out my art channel, Art of Samuel. And also don't forget to sign up for Designated My Toilet book number 4, launching January 3rd.
Perry.
Hey, I'm Perry, your friendly neighborhood mangaka in the making. You can find me at Perry S_Hotter, HOTTER. On any social media platform. I'm also on Twitch and YouTube. I commented earlier, and my manga Cold Blooded is on Webtoon, Tapastic, and I even have a Patreon. I have like for $3, you can read like the next chapter ahead before anyone else.
All right. Nice. Visenia.
Hey, I'm Visenia Designs. I'm Google friendly. I'm the only person in the world with this name. So you can find me on all the social medias that you can find. Definitely, I'm on Twitch, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Fridays. You can find my comics through my stores. You click the link, I'm there.
Now watch. You're going to one day find an imposter calling herself a Visenia Artist 1. And then you're going to be like, what the hell?
Right. Bulldozer.
Yep.
I need to copyright my name.
Visenia Manga Artist.
There is.
Right.
Mark, where can they find you, sir?
My best
Mark?
place is just to Google It Came From the Radio. We are the official Big Apple Con. We're an actual show. Can you hear me? You can't hear me.
I can hear you.
Am I hearing me? Uh-oh.
There you go.
Oh, okay. We are the official radio show of the Big Apple Con. We're an actual radio show. We're on 88.1 FM WARY in Westchester County. If you live in that area. If not, you got to go online. Hear us on BTD.radio. You can hear us on sci-fi.radio. You can go on to our website, www.radio.com, and listen to our shows. New shows will release every Monday, and we have a live show courtesy of the East Metal Park, www.eastmetal.info. And we show on the 14th of December, so it's and we have a guest on. I think we have a stand-up comedian for next week. So make sure you just do www.itcamefrom.com. Google It Came From the Radio.
All right. Cool. Jay, where can they find you, sir?
UnstoppableComics.com. You can find all our social media links at UnstoppableComics.com. Check out the website, see what we got going on. There will be a Cyber Monday deal for tomorrow with books. Here's the hint. It's free shipping. But anyways, we will be doing that tomorrow at UnstoppableComics.com. Please check us out.
All right. And I'm JD Calderon. I'll be here most Sundays. We'll be here next Sunday with Mr. J. And Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, DeviantArt, all under JD Calderon. And go check out the Kickstarter for the Oswald Chronicles. Everything's in the show notes. So we got links. And thank you, everybody, for showing up. Frank, thanks for coming on. Visenia, Perry, Sam, Mark, Jay, as always.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everybody.
You guys.
Later.
Yeah.
See you.
Pleasure.